And in this video, I would like to show you how we can use Google Sheets, that's a spreadsheet, kind of like Excel, in Google Classroom. So just like in the previous video with Doc, I'm going to show you how to create a new sheet within an assignment. We're going to edit that sheet together, some very simple things. We're going to show you the sheet options of how the student receives it, and finally, let's see from the student perspective. So join me over here in Google Classroom, and I'm going to go to classwork and I'm going to create an assignment. So we're going to call this one measurements, and I'm going to ask the students to measure your height in inches, measure your right foot in inches, and let's do hand size as well. Measure hand size in inches. And what we're going to do is record your answers in the attached sheet. Okay, so I'm going to create a sheet, Google Sheet, and of course, Google's going to automatically open it up. So Google Sheets are funny because it's this massive palette of cells. Look, I'm scrolling down, there's so much going on. So, and it goes, if I scroll left and right too, it goes all the way over to Z. So I'm going to find that I'm going to clean this up because I don't like my palette so large. But let me start off here by telling the students to enter your name, or excuse me, let's be more specific. Enter your first name. Okay. Now notice what happens when I hit enter. It's overshooting this over here into the next cell there. So there's a couple options we can do with that. So if I select this whole entire row and then go over to this text wrapping icon and click on that, I have the option of letting it overflow, of letting it wrap, or letting it clip, which just truncates it. So I'm going to wrap it, and notice right here, enter your first name is there. Now enter your height, and I'll say in inches. And notice it's automatically formatted to be to wrap there. So enter your foot size, and that specifically also is in inches. And lastly, enter your hand size in inches. Okay, now notice that I don't need all this over here because I have no more things that they're going to enter. So I'm going to, if you just click the letter on the top like this, just click the letter on the top and then scroll all the way over to the Z. If you press the shift button down and click, it's going to select all of that. Notice if I scroll back, it's selected that entire region. So if you click any drop down or do a right click, you can actually delete columns. It just cleans it up. Boom. Now I don't have this massive field. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Since I don't have more than 30 students in my class, I'm going to select that. And I'm going to drag this all the way down to the 1,000. I'm going to shift, right click, and I'm also going to delete these rows. So now I have a nice, cleaner template here. Also, notice when I scroll up and down, I lose this top right here. So no longer do I know if I'm entering something down here, I don't know in which column I'm entering it. So what we can do is create this as a header, making this a top that doesn't move. So if you grab this right here, see how the hand changes, and drag it down, the top is now a header. Notice, woo, now when I scroll, it stays there. You could actually do the exact same thing here, scrolling and making the columns header columns if you want. So if I had a lot of data here and I wanted this person's name to stay when I scrolled left or right, then I could do that. Also, to beautify it a little bit, I like to format, and if you see under formatting here, I can do alternating colors, and that's a real quick way just to make things look a little bit nicer, so that alternating and a little bit easier to read. So I'm going to select that, and I also prefer to have it aligned in the middle. If you'd like to bold something like that as well, you have that option. Okay, now I've created this for my class, and it's actually good to go, but let's give it a title, Measurements. And then I'm going to come over here, and if I had more rubric and topic, etc., I can add that. But let me go ahead and add a due date to that, and the topic is also matrices. So let me assign that. Well, excuse me. Before I do that, how are students going to see this? Can they view the file only? Can they edit the file? Or am I going to make a copy for each? Well, I want all my students to enter it into one file. So I'm going to say the student can edit the file. All right, so now when I assign that, everybody, including the teacher, is going to be on the same spreadsheet. So let's come over to Student View here. And let's go into Measurements. Here's my new assignment. And look, Measurements. So when I click on this, it's now below. I do want to point out it's no longer under the Your Work category like the previous doc that was created, because this is something for the whole class to see and not just for me as the student. Okay, so notice up on the top here, I see that Mr. Swenson is up there. So let me show you real quick what this looks like between the two views here. So here's student view on the right, and here is teacher view on the left. So the teacher says, oh look, the student's on, and the student is here in this cell right there. And I'm over here as the teacher, and the student can see, oh, the teacher is hanging out over here in this cell. So notice, what if as the teacher I enter my name here? Notice that over in the student view it sees where I currently am as the teacher. Now the student, same thing here. I am Hafiz, okay? And what's my height? I am 70 inches tall. My foot size is 10 inches, and I'm making this stuff up. And my hand size was 8 inches. Okay, and Mr. Swenson is 72 inches, and I have 11-inch foot, and I have a 9-inch there. Okay, so now notice that each person can see the active categories, what's going on. And now we have a single document that's being collaborated on by as many people as you've shared this with. So everybody can be entering data pretty much at the exact same time. And then you can do with that data whatever you prefer. You can find averages, etc. You can have students make bar charts from here if you'd like, or by hand, etc. But I just wanted to show you a quick use of Google Documents, more specifically Google Sheets, and how students can use that. Now, notice here there's nothing for the student to submit. So let me click back into here and show you. There's nothing for them to turn in because they haven't done any work on a separate document. So when the student is finished, he or she can just say mark as done, because I've done the work, and it mark as done. And I do want to point out why that's important, because if I were a student and I went over to my to-do list here, which is also based on calendar, I noticed some things that are done. Oh look, I finished the questions and I finished my measurements, and no longer is that on my to-do list. And so there we go. We've created a new sheet. We've edited that. Specifically, we've collaborated all in one document, and I showed you the student view. Happy spreadsheeting.